African insurance market is full of opportunity, with only 3.5% of the African market insured. Insurers on the continent require access to capacity for large corporate risk and for fronting arrangements for risks that are excluded under their treaties. Now, for more on the industry, Warren Baltler, Chief Executive of PFP Insurance Brokers, joins us now in studio. Warren, thank you so much for your time today. Just looking back to when PFP originally entered the market in South Africa in particular over 12 years ago, you had the objective to increase opportunities for local brokers entering the African market. Have you managed to do that looking back 12 years on?
Gugu, we've only been here for 12 months. The Price Forbes, our shareholder, the company that we are a subsidiary of, has been in the market for a lot longer than us. From a retail perspective, as a South African company, we've only been here for a year. However, we have decided that there's a very big opportunity for us north of the border in Africa. The South African insurance market is highly competitive on the retail front in the corporate space. The growth is slightly muted compared to the growth of the markets in the rest of Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is really growing. It's the second fastest growth region in the world. As you say, very, very little of the rest of Africa is formally insured. And with the infrastructure investment going into Africa, West Africa, East Africa, with the resources and the minerals, those markets are due to grow at a lot faster rate than the South African market is. And if you're not in those markets from a peripheral servicing point of view, insurance being one of those, you're missing out on a very good opportunity. So we've traditionally, in a retail broking space, our clients are the insured, the actual person who actually is the insured on the policy. But we're trying to act as a hub in the South African market for clients being brokers and other insurers in Africa, where we use the South African market, which is very, very developed from an insurance sort of technical and a capacity point of view. And we look to providing services to other brokers and insurers in Africa who haven't necessarily got the type of access to technical skills as well as insurance capacity that the South African market has. From what I understand, the South African market the South African insurance market collects about 1/3 of the annual premiums in a year that the rest of Africa does. So it's a dominant, very, very dominant and sophisticated market here.
The opportunities presented on the rest of the continent, surely they come with risk factors as well.
Absolutely.
Regulations as well as legal processes are not exactly the same with regard to each country.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in Africa, is that every country's got its own rules and regulations with respect to insurance. And in a lot of countries, foreign insurance is outlawed. There are certain countries where a state-owned insurer has to be the insurer, and in order to find cover for your international clients there, you have to sort of tiptoe around the regulations, make sure that the local insurers are involved in the deals, but most of the risk is then reinsured out of the country into markets like South Africa and London. The London market has traditionally been the wholesale headquarters of the world. What the South African market should realize and understand is that it could be the wholesale headquarters of the African market, for that reason in particular.
What would it take to get us there, though?
I think it would take a lot of appetite on behalf of the brokers and also the South African domiciled insurers. I know that they could and will achieve a lot of growth if they focus their activities outside the country. Some of the local South African markets have been shown a lot of appetite for African risk in the last couple of months. Well, since we've been here, we've seen some great support from the South African markets with respect to writing African risk. But as you mentioned, the challenges are getting around the regulation and making sure that you do find local partners in each of those countries who can assist you with the regulatory sort of loopholes. And we make sure that we work with trusted partners. We've got to make sure that there are people on the ground who you can work with, communicate with every day. And then most importantly as well is, I think, is the use of technology, because if mobile technology especially, there's a crying need for enhanced communication within our client base in Africa. One of the things that often we find in the African marketplace is that turnaround time is very, very important. And we need to make sure that our communication lines are open with our partners and with the insurers and with the clients there, so that these deadlines can be met.
What about skills? In Africa, no doubt we have a skills shortage, but are we seeing a skills transfer as well, instead of just getting a lot of the foreign guys doing the work on the ground?
It's going to be a bit slow, I think. As I said, so in the insurance space in, let's say, East Africa, for example, they've got quite a sophisticated market, predominantly in the property and casualty space. When it comes to alternative forms of cover, liabilities, they lack the skills in the broking in the insurer space, and they look abroad for it. When it comes to a deadline, what they're really trying to do is make sure that cover is placed, policies are written, and everyone's happy. There hasn't been too much focus so far on skills transfer into the African sort of marketplace, and I think that's an area that insurers and brokers alike, particularly South African insurance and brokers, can develop in Africa.